Shalom, beloved brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles alike. Welcome. Thank you for being here. It is good to be here. Please give me a one if you can hear me and see me well. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. Thank you. Great glory to the mighty one. Today is our fourth day into the fast, and we are doing pretty well. We got 36 more days to go. There you go. This one here. We got 36 more days to go. A lot's going on, beloved. A lot's going on. We're just going to give it a little moment for our beloved brothers and sisters to join on to us so we can move with the prayer. Last night, we had released Esau's Trouble video. And I believe this morning they had the identities of the people that had perished. They had their identity. So I'm going to play the video, or hopefully the people that are watching can actually see it. Okay, let me share the screen with the nation. And once you can see it.
When a plane crashed into the Bayside Water mobile home community in Clearwater. Now, this comes as today the NTSB is expected to remove the wreckage from the home. Here are the names of those three people. 86-year-old Martha Perry and 54-year-old Mary Pender were inside the home during the crash. We also know the pilot's name is Jemin Patel. He is 54 years old. Again, this comes as the plane is expected to be picked up today. 10 Tampa Bay's Nick Volturo live in Clearwater at the mobile home park. And Nick, we knew Martha's name from neighbors that you spoke to yesterday. Now we have confirmed that she lived in that mobile home where the plane crashed.
Yes, that's right. Martha Perry, Angelina, lived at the mobile home while her friend Mary Pender was there visiting. Now, NTSB has supposed to be here today to recover the wreckage of that plane. Now, we did just moments ago see vehicles that were designed to pull those aircraft away from the scene. They were pulling in here to the Bayside water. So we're just waiting right now. We're positioned right here to make sure we can see as those come in. Now we're asked to vacate from the mobile park just because they wanted to make sure that first responders had time to operate and give them some room, and also give friends and victims some privacy and some space as well. And the pain is just still fresh to so many people that are living here. It's such a gut-wrenching scene. So we're told it's an extremely tight-knit community. Many neighbors yesterday were checking on each other, sharing a warm embrace. And so yesterday, some neighbors were coming out to see the aftermath for the first time right here in the daylight. That's why we had our Sky 10, to be able to give us that aerial view of the scene. And we spoke to one neighbor, Wayne, who asked not to appear on camera, but tells us he was very close friends with both Martha and Mary. Says he was out playing golf with them. They all went out to lunch and then came back to Martha's place for some drinks and laughs, joined by a group of their golfing buddies. Wayne told us he was tired that night and very fortunate he didn't stick around for dessert, because 10 minutes later after leaving Martha's place, the plane crashed into her mobile home. Wayne says the first thing he did was call his children, tell us how he plans on hugging his loved ones a little tighter, and how grateful he is that he wasn't in the home when the plane crashed. We spoke with one neighbor along with an aviation expert to provide more clarity on just what happened that night.
There had been approximately 8 others, I believe. They were having a few drinks after a golf outing, and they were done, and like 8 of them left. And Martha said that, the other woman said that she was going to leave, but she was going to finish her drink. And this was like 15 minutes after the group left that this happened.
There'll be a 24-hour report which may simply state that the airplane was a total loss and these lives were lost. But then they have up to a year to go ahead and get the final report. There's a lot of details involved. They'll examine every nut and bolt that they find and reassemble the airplane as best they can and dig into the history as best they can as well.
Now, we know the NTSB is going to be here. We saw vehicles coming in to recover the wreckage of that plane. We're going to stand by here and wait and try to get video of that as they pull the remains of that plane out from here at the mobile park.
And Nick, we actually see police going in behind you. We also see the fire department as well, working to get that plane out of the complex. We're also learning more about that plane, though, that crashed into the mobile home. Can you tell us more about its model and its background, too?
Yeah, it's a very interesting story, Angie. It's a Beechcraft Bonanza, originally built in 1947. It was first introduced. It was actually the same plane that Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper were on that crashed. They died. That also was the song that inspired American Pie, the famous song by Don McLean. Now, one of the things we know is still a very popular plane is what we're being told. And according to Sarasota Bonanza mechanic and flight instructor John Cronley, it's still one of those planes that a lot of people do use. So a common plane. And of course, we're going to stand by over here waiting to see this plane being taken out from the mobile park. We're going to give that up to you. Make sure to stay tuned at 10:30 as we bring you the latest. But for now, reporting live in Clearwater, Nick Volturo, 10 Tampa Bay.
Next.
As you can see, beloved, the name of those people and all the other stuff that happened, their ages, 54, okay? And here's the last one.
Today's a new online journal. The places that people live in the U.S. could change significantly. According to a study published in Nature Cities, a new online journal, the places that people live in the U.S. could change significantly over the next few decades. Scientists analyzed existing and projected population trends to identify how those changes could impact the climate, along with basic services like clean water, electricity, and transportation. Now, the authors didn't focus on why these population changes were happening. The purpose was to examine the ramifications for communities across the United States. So let's dig into it. Currently, 43% of cities are losing population. The Midwest has been hit the hardest in cities like Detroit, Cleveland, St. Louis, and another 40% of U.S. cities are gaining population, especially in communities throughout the South and West, like Charlotte and Dallas. Now, the study's authors also estimate that half of all U.S. cities will depopulate, at least somewhat, in the next 100 years. Places like Cincinnati, Toledo, Buffalo, Baltimore, Birmingham, and Baton Rouge. Now, those cities are expected to lose between 12 and 23% of their population. And those states with areas that will see the most population growth, well, those are in the South and the West, in states like Florida, Texas, and California. Researchers noted that some of the growth will actually be coming from more people moving to suburbs and areas immediately adjacent to a city. The study's authors also mentioned a commonality among cities in the North and the Midwest that are depopulating: income levels. Statistically, cities with lower median household income are the ones that are projected to depopulate. Now, this matters because basic goods and services are expected to get more expensive as fewer people are around to share the costs. Researchers also warned that there could be a deterioration of infrastructure and less access to essentials like affordable groceries as investments are deprioritized in shrinking communities. Now, the study's authors flagged that these shifts could have major implications on the climate and quality of life. Those moving to more suburban places are more likely to have a car and use more space, fossil fuels, and other resources.
All right. This coming from them. This coming from them. They don't want to tell the people, hey, there's you guys are being no more, but they come up with all sort of nonsense try to explain that, oh, people are moving down south and stuff. No, you people are being no more. You're being they are dying out. Okay, they're all dying out. Okay, the mighty one. Ah, give me a second. The mighty one is removing them from the land. They are dying out. They are dying out. A lot of them are moving to the south and get closer, and that's why we talk about Detroit a lot. Detroit is a very special place. They can't stay in Detroit, and the land and the house are cheap over there. So those people are indeed dying out. So they are doing the best they can to explain, oh, while people are moving to the suburb, they're more likely to have a car and buy fuel. You mean the people in the city did not have cars? Is that what that is? People in the city didn't have cars? They did, and they still do. You people are dying out. That is the truth. You folks are being swept off the land. That is the truth. Yeah. Oh. So many people are moving off grid for a better life, be in touch with nature. They are moving away from the stars. They are moving away from this. Nah, that's not what that is. But anyway, beloved, let us moving with our program. I just took my blood pressure today. It's a little bit high because yesterday I had some stuff that I ate, and it kind of like increased this. Um, for the others, I have not. I yesterday I took my 5,000 step late at night, right after the video. I just pick up my beloved mother and I just go for the work, and I completed my steps. And this morning I have not take any. Well, I have taken a few hundred steps, but I have not taken the full 5 to 25 to 5,000 step. And any. I have not get any sugar for the past month. Since wait no, since 3 weeks ago. Since 3 weeks ago, there has been no sugar, right? Yes, no sugar. So I'm still keeping the no sugar and doing the steps, and I okay, the blood sugar 125 over 59, step 3,000. That's good. It's good. No sugar, brethren. No refined white sugar. Other fruits, the brethren that are doing the juice fast, and the other food is good. Yes, DC, New York. I usually my daily work is 4.5 miles for the whole day. 4.5 or 5 miles. Yeah, work on cutting the sugar, beloved. The white sugar, cutting it out. The sweet, the ice cream, the cakes, the cookies, the muffins, the cupcake. Yo, those things, they are good. They are good. But cutting it out, feel better. Cold turkey, that you got to cold turkey this thing, man. Yeah, the cold turkey. You can't hot turkey this thing in there. Man. You can just cold turkey it, man. It's hard, but you just cold turkey this thing, man. That's what it is. Just quit this stuff. Yeah, a lot of people are having hard time with the sweet. It's not something you can give up that easily, especially if something you've been having ever since you were a child. It's very hard, because it is like cocaine. It is. They had a study where they have a group of rats. Okay, they feed the rats sugar, okay, white sugar, processed sugar, and cocaine. And then they put the cocaine on the left, they put the sugar on the right, and they give the rats a choice which one they will choose, and they release the rat, and they all choose sugar. They all choose sugar. None of the rats choose cocaine because the sugar seems to be more addictive than the cocaine. Because the cocaine, it make you feel good. That is the truth. But there's a freaking drawback. You feel the guilt and things like that. Not with sugar. Sugar, you just feel good. That's all. That's all. That is all. The back draw will be in your diabetes and your health later on, slowly killing you. But the sugar, man, it's one thing, yo. But anyway, beloved, we are in our fourth day of fasting, the Plutonian fast, so to speak. Boy, this thing is, I don't know why is it so bright. Is it my eyes? Let me turn this thing down. There we go. Beloved, we are in our fourth days of fasting, the Plutonian fast, and we are going to, it's getting dark now. Oh boy. We are going to use this energy to move in through the fast and through our lives. Because of this, we have the prayers. Let us begin, beloved. Let us begin with the prayers. Put my phone here on silent. Let us begin, beloved. Okay? Great glory to the mighty one. Great praise to the Most High. Heavenly Father, we say thank you. Thank you for being in the midst of us. Thank you for watching over us. As today the beautiful sun rises, we can begin our fourth days of fasting. Our fourth day into this energy, which we dub as the Plutonian energy. A lot of us feel good, and we are trying our best to do your will. We're trying our best to get closer to you, to get closer to righteousness. And we know it's not an easy task. A lot of habit and bad habit, terrible habit. We try to get out of this loop, which is virtually impossible. But because of the spirit that you put in us, we are able to move forward. We come before you with a broken heart and a desperate spirit. We come with all our sin and all our dirt, and we confess them before you. We clear and uncover our hearts. We are here to thank you. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for silencing our enemy. Thank you for literally obliterated our enemy. Yes, indeed. They are being taken out everywhere and anyhow. Airplane, plagues, financial circumstances, cities are being emptied out. Everything is being emptied out. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you. Thank you for us seeing at our right 1,000s are falling, at our left 10,000 more, and nothing happened to us. We are still here, and we are going to. As we are approaching April the 8th, X mark the spot, we see the behavior of this world. We see the behavior of the weather, of the animals, and of the people. It is not the same as before. As we are approaching our delivering day, as we are approaching the grand day, we see things are changing for the worse for those folks, and it's changing for the best for us. Thank you for giving our knowledge back, the knowledge of magic, astrology, the knowledge of the histories, the knowledge of energies, yea, indeed, the knowledge of what they did unto us during chattel slavery. Thank you for sending us this good book, Black Labor and White Wealth. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to take a glimpse at the past and see all those horrible and terrible things those people did, all those laws they passed so our folks not to own the land, what they did to our black vets, what they did to our people. Bait and switch, always deceive our people. The enemy is the great deceiver. Thank you for exposing them. Thank you for giving us a heart of pure gold, a heart of righteousness. Thank you for leading us. Thank you for not utterly destroying us like you are destroying our enemy. Thank you for having mercy upon us, Jews and Gentiles alike. Thank you for giving our people strength to move through this, because if we do not rely on you or have some type of things to hold on to you, we won't be able to make it through this thing. Yea, indeed, we've been going through this trouble for a very long time. It is not at the last that we will give up. We are here, we were here, and we always will be here. Heavenly Father, thank you for your love. Thank you for your providence. Thank you for your affection. May your will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. Selah, so be it. To the earthly mother, the Holy Spirit, we thank you. Thank you for watching over us. Thank you for being in the midst of us. Thank you for providing for us. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for being in our mind, in our spirit when we are studying, when we're going through lives, when we're going through calamities, when we're going through hard time. Thank you for being in the midst of us and letting us know that everything's going to be okay. It's not easy to be an Israelite in this world. It's not easy to be one of our people and suffer from this curse in this world. Yea, indeed, slowly but surely the curse is being removed. Slowly but surely the head is making into the tail, and the tail is replacing the head. Slowly, surely, and rapidly, the first shall become the last, and the last is now the first. Yea, indeed, we're not going to take this for granted. We will never ever repeat this mistake again. We are striving for a better future, a future where our children, our elders, our people, our earth, our nature, our animals will live in harmony and will be fruitful and multiply. Thank you, Mother, for watching over us. Selah, so be it. To all the angels, our guardian angels, the angels of nature, the celestial angels, the terrestrial angels, all the forces and spirits that are watching over us, the seen, the unseen, the known, the unknown. Thank you. May you continue doing your job in protecting us and providing for us, and destroy our enemy and clear them off of our land, clear them off of the world. We do not want them here in the first and the second, third, and the fourth part. We do not want those people in our universe and our reality. Expel them somewhere else. Give unto them double. We pray that the Holy One give you the orders to bring unto us the great abundance. We sure need it. But before, we need those people to get the out of Holland. We need them to clear all the land and leave all the blessing behind so we may live in peace. Selah, so be it. By the great power, the mighty one vested in me, and he can take it anytime he feel like. I leave all of you in peace. Go in peace, beloved brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles alike. Go in peace. Thank you. Thank you for being here. As the prayer is done for the 4th days of our fast, we will just leave the phone line open for our beloved brothers and sisters to call and have their opinion and share with the nation and what's going on and what's happening and what they can do. In the meantime, we're just going to go to the YouTube and seek certain news and let it play so we can decipher the messages the angels are sending throughout nature and those events. Again, beloved, let us move with our agenda. I am hoping that we are now in the first week of January, February. I am hoping that the people are putting their $5 aside with the additional or the incremental $5. So today is the third, which is a Saturday, Shabbatite or Saturn day, the highest and heaviest planet. So put whatever that you need to put in there and keep it holy, man. Keep it holy. Starve the system. Starve the system. Thank you, Sister Joe said prior. I put mine in this morning. Put it there. Starve the system. Leave a little money in the house. You don't need to go out there and spend money and all sort of things, you know. Yeah, don't listen to those people. Go to hell. Yeah, I ain't gonna do that. People ain't gonna do this, you know. Just put your money there, leave it there. You know, don't give it to those people. You're going to need it. That's good. Do the best that you can, beloved. Do the best that you can. Yes, only on necessity. Only on the, if you don't need something, if it's not 100% needable, so to speak, don't do it there. Don't do it. All right, beloved, the phone line is open. Let me put the number just for the people to call. Keep in mind, brethren, some may not see you when you call, and we can't take all those calls, especially on WhatsApp. You know, it's just certain. I'm not quite sure, but WhatsApp is a little bit complicated. I think we have somebody from Louisiana. Shalom, beloved. Watch out for the nation.
Supreme Rising, Big Levi and family. Blessings for this 4th day of the fast. Dreams back to back to back to back. But the most prevalent one, and I do take notes and write all my dreams down, but the most prevalent one I live near the city of Louisville, which is my birthplace, Louisville, Kentucky. And I was invited into a high-rise apartment, and there was women around, and one was my sister-in-law. She just walked past me, and they was partying, just partying. So I looked out the window, and I saw my city in flames. Every building was in flames. So I yelled out, I said, hello, y'all don't see the city's on fire. And they ignored it. So I ended the scene switched to where I'm actually downtown, actually in the city. And I was at the end of the expressway where you can get on and exit. And I'm looking at the city. At this point, the scene is dark, but the buildings was glowing like fire. You didn't see any smoke. You didn't see anything. It was just the fire in these buildings. And I tried to get out of the vehicle, and these golf ball sized little orbs was flying around, and one lightly shocked me, like, get back in the car. So I get back in the car, and then I looked in the back. There was a whole bunch of LMPD, Louisville police officers behind me, and they was taking the tag numbers, and they was prepping to tow it. So I got back out of the car, and I was like, what are you doing? And so, we're going to tow your vehicle. I said, excuse me, do you not see what's going on? And so he started to walk away, and I'm walking after him. And he morphed into like a anchorman, and he was looking for somebody to do the report. And I said, hey, I'll do it. And he looked real skeptic at me. And I was like, look, this city has been shut down a week ago. Said those words literally. So he handed me the mic, and we have, every city have their own news station. But on this mic, it was an unknown news station on it. So I took the mic, and when I look up, it was tons of camera people in front of me, and then I woke up. So I'm getting all these dreams of what's to come, what to prep our women, one specifically our women, how the medical system is oh my gosh, experimenting on them, and then just no care, no health, no health care, no, just experimenting. So I just wanted to share that with the nation, that our angels is working. The Most High's word is on the earth, and Mother Wisdom is spreading out. So for the people to be vigilant and grateful, vigilant and grateful.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share that with the nation, and I'm so grateful for you, Big Levi.
Yes, beloved. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
You too. All right. Yes, what the sister said, beloved, it's not so much what to come. This thing is already here. The cities, everything is being destroyed, and those people are acting like everything is fine. You know what? Not only everything is fine, it's better. Oh, we are in a better place, situation that we are right now than pre 2019. That's how they ignore things, because they've been doing that for a long time, ignoring us, and they think if they can ignore this trouble, this tribulation, it will go away, when in fact the more they ignore it, the more it's amplified. The more they act like nothing going on, the more stuff are coming. They're acting like, well, the city is not on fire. They're acting like they got so much time going on. They got so much time left, and everything is well. The church are being packed. The truth is out there. You know, they're acting out. Hey, the the starvation or the hunger is not in the midst. The word is all over. People are turning to Christianity as a higher rate than ever before. The Pope is like, oh, okay. The Pope is doing well. The king and queens around the world, they're all healthy, and all the celebrities are making banks. The housing, the rent are so cheap. Rent is as low as it's been since 1492. That's how those people are acting, and they know for a fact it's a complete opposite. So you let those. those delusional people, those illusionists, you just let them. You know, like, hey, you want to go ahead and run into that burning building? You do your thing. You know, there's nothing we can do about this. But anyway, you do you. So yes, beloved, that's what's going on. Thank you for the sister that went ahead and shared this thing with us. Okay, I think we have. Let me share this video, this thing with the. We are waiting for others to come and call again. Let's see how long this. He died doing what? Okay, that was 12 hours ago. Okay, in Arizona. Okay, all right. Let's listen to this one. He died doing what he loved and pursuing his passions and his dreams.
Terry Gardner had several thousand jumps under his belt and was a staple in the extreme sport community for decades. The 73-year-old Casa Grande man died in a skydiving accident after police say there was some kind of problem with his parachute.
How old this fellow was? How old he was? And what the time the news was? Let's keep on moving.
He was an organizer, which means he led people on jumps. He was sort of an expert skydiver that helped other people learn.
Fellow skydivers like Sarah Curtis can't believe he's gone.
I'd just like to say to Terry's family, we're with you. We all love you. We all love Terry.
Sarah is the vice mayor of Eloy and has been a skydiver for 25 years. She has fond memories of jumping with Terry and says his wife used to work at Skydive Arizona.
Having it happen to someone who's within your own community, essentially within your own family, is really hard.
Police say the tragedy happened around noon Wednesday. It was Terry's third jump of the day from Skydive Arizona. He was with 3 other friends. All of them jumped and landed safely. According to police, the group planned a formation jump at 14,000 feet, but were unable to get into their positions. Investigators do not think that contributed to the accident.
We're going to miss him so much.
Positions.
Again, beloved, you can see what they're trying to do here, making a star, which is, of course, the representation of the Star of David, so to speak, or the Star of Solomon, the Seal of Solomon. One thing we want to point out that those people are dying everywhere, and the things they've been doing for years. They've been doing those things for 25 years, like 30 years. Nothing ever happened to them, but for some reason now, yeah, boy, things are happening to them. For some reason now, walking outside can kill them because they are no longer under the blessing. Okay, that's the thing that's going on. Okay, the blessing is over. They're not covered. So when they go ahead, they do those dangerous things, and they are going to die. Okay, all right. So and it's not him. They after that. Let me see if I can take the other dude.
Investigators do not think that contributed to the accident.
We're going to miss him so much.
Less than a month ago, a hot air balloon crash in Eloy killed 4 people, including the pilot Cornelius Vanderwalt. This happened after several skydivers jumped out and landed safely. Sarah knew Cornelius too. She skydived out of his balloon many times.
Again, it's those are the people that she knows. Those are the people that are doing those things. They're no longer under the blessing, and they are dying. Okay, they are jumping out of those things, and they are dying.
She remembers him as an experienced skydiver and pilot and is deeply saddened by the back-to-back losses.
2 key linchpins of our community. It's just very tragic.
The FAA is investigating and inspecting the parachute to try to determine what went wrong. Live in the newsroom, Michaela Marshall for Arizona's Family.
All right, so yeah, that's what's going on. Let's see if we can take another one. Let me see. That's somewhere in Florida. That's on Florida. Heavy snow and Arizona high country. Really? Huh. Hmm. This one is fascinating. Let me see.
U.S. Department of Labor says 12,000 Texans have money that belongs to them in back wages, and they don't even know it's waiting for them to find it.
The back wages for Texans add up to $8 million, and the clock is ticking for people to claim it. Fox 4's Lori Brown joins us now live from Dallas with the story. Lori.
Heather, this unclaimed money comes from employers who were found to be underpaying employees in an investigation. The U.S. Department of Labor says that the average Texan who is owed back wages is entitled to hundreds of dollars.
That's a significant amount of money. It's an average of about $662 per worker.
That money belonging to underpaid Texans is ready to go out if the rightful owners come forward. Jesus Valdez, director with the U.S. Department of Labor, says employers who were found to be in violation of the law typically send the checks directly to the employees who earned it.
When they are unable to locate those workers for various reasons, they are asked to deposit that money to an account held by the U.S. Department of Labor.
And now all of those back wages are adding up to $8 million statewide. Here in North Texas alone, there is more than $1.6 million owed to 2,500 workers.
Once that money is deposited into that account, we make every effort to try to locate the workers.
But if 3 years go by without the workers claiming their wages, the money goes to the U.S. Treasury Department.
And make no mistake, most of those money, if not all of it, are owed to our people. It is owed to our people because they always don't want that backhanded and underhanded. Our people undermine our people. Those are the people that do not want to pay our people. Now they all find out, and it's kind of like a mea culpa, some kind of thing going on, but they really don't care. And this is the money that I owe you. Come claim it. They know who you are. They know where those people are. They know everywhere. They just say, hey, well, we did make the announcement. Well, you lost it now. So that's people.
As for those who should check out the database,
it really could be anyone, anyone that has worked for an employer.
The Labor Department does not has the most workers with unclaimed back wages, 487 employees totaling $260,000. And out of the top 50 cases in the state, 6 are from Dallas. As a whole, Tarrant County cases add up to more than $500,000 and Collin County $120,000.
We conduct investigations for many reasons. It could be a complaint from a current or former employer who contacts us and says, I'm not being paid for all the hours that I work.
The Labor Department also has a proactive focus on certain industries like construction and food services. But Valdez says their investigations cover all industries and salary ranges.
This is money that has already been earned by workers, and it's their money. So they should go in there and see if there's anything there for them.
The Department of Labor says that every employee, whether hourly or salaried, should log on to the database. Once you are there, you'll be asked to put in your employer's name. It will only come up if there are back wages that are owed. And we have put a link to that database at our website at fox4news.com. Heather.
It's me, Lori. Sorry. Thanks, though. That was the second time.
Lori, thank you. I know this time I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you.
Let you do it. Handle it.
Lori, thank you. Well,
police departments are sounding the alarm after toxicology reports showed fentanyl and cocaine were found in the bodies of 3 men discovered in the Northland. Fox 4 News broke that story yesterday. Tonight, Fox 4's Malik Jackson is live at police headquarters downtown. And Malik, Metro Police chiefs.
Excuse me. Again, like we said before, those people, they know who you are. They know where those people are located. They got all the information. If they can find out how much money it is and it wasn't paid, they know the person this thing wasn't paid onto. They know that. They simply don't want to give it to our people. They simply don't want to give it. This is the same thing they are doing, like, oh well, we have a bunch of unclaimed land that are returning back to the owners, but we don't know those unclaimed lands and houses and money stuff. No, you people know exactly who those people are. You simply don't want to give it back to them. Whenever any one of us owe the IRS $1, we already received that letter. Say, hey, you owe us. We know who you are. We know how to find you. Whenever you guys owe anything online, credit card or whatever that debt, those things, they'll blow up your phone. They'll blow up your phone. They'll find you. People will send you mail. They will find you whenever you owe them. When they owe you, they can't find you. I don't know who this person is. I mean, I'm gonna have to keep that $8 million because I wanted to give that $8 million, but I don't know them. They are so much and so many. I don't know who they are. That's how much of scum those people are, man. They don't want to pay our people. Oh yeah, the IRS will find you. The government will find you. They'll do every single thing and they will find you. And the moment, this is the thing when it comes to those people. Have you ever had an insurance company, especially your car insurance, and somehow you miss a payment or something happened? They already sent you that letter, man. Hey, your insurance will be discontinued. Oh, we already cut your insurance, and we're gonna report you to the government and things like that. But when you get into a car accident or something happened to your household, those people, we have to investigate to make sure that you are not defrauding us. And then they took a very long time to process, and then they give you the butt of the money. Whenever you don't pay those people, they know who you are. Oh, they'll find you. And when they don't pay, you don't even know that. Some of those people work, they don't even know if they're getting paid. They just worry about their own stuff. They just take the paycheck, pay their bills, go about their life. Come to find out, you were stealing from those people from the beginning. You weren't giving them the proper wages, so to speak. That's what you people are doing. Anyway, man, let's keep on moving with this. Oops, excuse me.
Say this is the tip of the iceberg and will only get worse if we don't start taking fentanyl seriously.
John, the Independence Police Department says they've seen an astronomical rise in cases involving fentanyl. The KCK Police Department says they've seen a steady and alarming rise in their jurisdiction. Tonight, one day after we saw the results and heard the results of the case of those 3 men that died in the backyard of their friend's home, these police departments have a clear warning. Fentanyl is an urgent problem that must be addressed now.
Have we reached the crisis point?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've reached a crisis point with fentanyl. I mean, people are dying every day throughout the country.
That statement, the heartbreaking reality for the families of Clayton McGinney, Ricky Johnson, and David Harrington.
Yeah, I'm not surprised when you look at these fentanyl cases. You could have several individuals using fentanyl and, 3 could die. 1 may not even overdose. 1 pill can kill. It is so truthful.
According to multiple sources close to the investigation, detectives with KCPD informed the families yesterday afternoon that results from a toxicology report showed traces of cocaine and fentanyl in the systems of the 3 men who were found here at this Northland home. Unfortunately, this isn't a new problem, but one that, according to both chiefs, is getting worse by the day.
Fentanyl is just a up and coming community problem. Extremely concerning because, like you said, people are dying. And whenever anybody dies, that's tragic. And when it's a needless death, it's even more tragic.
Chief Oakman says in order to get ahead of the problem, there must be a metro-wide response.
We need to have a unified approach to this. Like I said, with KCK, we do prevention, education, and enforcement. And you have to take this serious.
Now, as far as where this investigation stands into the death of these 3 men that were found dead in the back of that Northland home, KCPD at last check has still not passed this case over to the Platte County prosecuting attorney. And per our reporting, the man who lived inside of that home, Jordan Willis, is currently in rehab. Of course, we will stay on top of this story for all of the latest developments on this. You can click on this story.
Okay, so here's the thing. You got 4 junkies, 4 drug addicts get together under the guise of watching the game. And they got together, they did what they need to do, and the other dude, all 4 of them OD'd. And one of them woke up and he just don't know what's going on. And when he check on his bodies, they were already dead. Now, of course, he's white. He doesn't want to be charged with the murders, and he go ahead call his lawyer. That's the first thing to do, best thing to do. Call his lawyer, say, "Hey, I wasn't doing drugs with this. I wasn't doing drugs with this guy. They come to my home, and then they break in there. I was watching the game, son. And they died." Now, the thing is, beloved, you know what? Since we are at this, let's take a whack at this thing. I had it there for a year. I had it there for at least 2 months. Okay, so let's take at it. Okay, this dude, like, hey, I don't know what's going on. They just OD'd and things like that. Because, yes, when it was us during the 1980s, it was an uproar. People was like, "Oh, we need to imprison. It wasn't, some kind of like a crisis or whatever. It was prison. And then now, suddenly, all of a sudden, and people don't want to talk about this. Okay, people just like, "Oh well, it's a public crisis now. It's a health crisis." Okay, all right. So let's take some of those things that we have right here. Let's take this one right here. Maybe. Let me check. That's the 3rd, the 4th. Okay, the 5th. Boy, let me see this one now.
Of Women Today with Samantha Dean.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to be talking cupboard addicts, or pill poppers as they're often referred to. 2 billion prescriptions are written every year for 35 million Americans who take pills to pep themselves up, slow themselves down, go to sleep, lose weight, relieve stress, and a variety of other reasons. The family medicine chest is also becoming the spawning ground for young children as far as drug abuse is concerned. With us this evening to discuss some of these problems are Dr. Christopher Demander, the Director of the Emergency Drug Abuse Service at the E.J. Meyer Memorial Hospital at Buffalo, New York, Mr. Richard Mehta, Director of the Westside Drug Service Counseling Center, a division of the Legal Aid Bureau Incorporated at Buffalo, New York, and Miss Jana Henderson, who was a dependent at one time in her life on drugs and has been drug-free now for the past 6 years. She is now counselor of the West Side Drug Center at Buffalo, New York. Dr. Demanda, of these 35 million Americans who take pills, what percentage go on subsequently to become addicts?
It's really difficult to speak about what percentage of those 35 million because there are many other people who take pills and are addicted besides just the ones who get their drugs legally. The Food and Drug Administration had estimated in 1970 that some 8 billion doses of amphetamines alone were available or produced in this country. They estimated some 50% were in fact diverted to illegal channels. But anyway, that production level would supply approximately 30 to 50 capsules of amphetamines for every man, woman, and child living in the country.
Now, you mentioned amphetamines. Richard, could you explain the difference between amphetamines, barbiturates, and narcotics?
Surely. Amphetamines are your uppers, your stimulant drugs. A generic example would be methaqualude. Often women will take amphetamines in the form of diet pills or pep pills. Downers or depressants or barbiturates are another classification of drugs. They are usually central nervous system depressants. They slow you down. They're sometimes used in psychiatric cases to tranquilize a person or to slow their respiratories or their actions down. And the last classification you asked about was narcotics. That's generally that's a legal term actually, and it includes a lot of drugs, both illicit and legal. Most people, however, think of narcotics illegal drugs, but that's a misconception.
Would codeine, for instance, cocaine, would these things be included under narcotics?
Yes, legally, according to New York and federal law.
Mm-hmm. I see. Just how easy is it to become addicted to a pill, such as a diet pill, for instance?
Well, each pill has its own potential, if you will, for addiction. But addiction should be understood as as I think best defined by Dr. Jaffe, director of the Special Action Office for Drug Abuse Programs in Washington. And his concept of addiction is the compulsive use of a drug with a strong tendency to relapse if for any reason the drug is interrupted. In other words, the addiction state is something that any person can develop if they have certain kinds of needs which are met by the drug. Amphetamines particularly have this very strong abuse potential and addiction potential because they provide so many nice things for people.
You see how many what they are throwing around. You see how much stuff, the language gymnastic they are using. They refuse to say, you people are freaking junkies. We have so much junkies right now in the community. They call it medicine cabinet. Medicine cabinet. You people are junkies. You're going out there and doing hard drugs. This was in 1970s, okay? To take it, that was in 1972. That was December 22nd, 1972. Okay? Since the 70s, those people were having this issue with themselves and they never talk about it, okay? They never talk about it, all right? So let's take this one. God, I hate this dude. I just despise guy, man. You have no idea how much I despise this.
For days on end and involved the collaboration of what seemed like every federal and local law enforcement agency available, a total of 450 officials. Now we learn, mostly from the back pages of charges against some crew members were apparently dropped or dismissed, others plea bargained, and most will serve 5 years or less in jail. There is no evidence that there is significantly less crack cocaine available on the street. So is there really a war on drugs? And if so, whom is it directed at and who is winning? Joining us in our first segment to discuss the issue is the Honorable United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jay Stevens. Good to have you here. Morris or Pete Davis of the Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, good to have you. Kevin Keese of the Drug Policy Foundation.
I want you to pay attention to this dude. I want you to pay attention to what he's going to say. Okay. Pay attention to this guy because that's when the crack epidemic was upon our people. Okay. Listen to the conversation, beloved. All right. This is going to get very interesting. Listen to what they are saying right there. We're going to listen to everything. All right.
Attorney Nelson Pemberton of Lewis and Nelson, the law firm, Jonathan Cohen of the Partnership for a Drug-Free America. Mr. Stevens, allow me to start with you. If I have mischaracterized how the P Street crew case turned out, feel free to correct me, but it does seem that for a while we had made a major dent in cocaine trafficking in Washington, and it just seems to have frittered away.
Let me say this. Our office did not prosecute P Street. That case is handled out of Virginia by Richard Cullen's office in Alexandria, so I really can't comment on that case. That was not our prosecution. Let me say this, though, about our gang initiative here in Washington. We have launched, I believe, a very broad-based assault on narcotics trafficking here in the nation's capital. Part of that assault is an attack on gangs that are terrorizing areas of the city, that are overrunning certain communities. We have indicted, as you may remember, and convicted many of these people: Rayful Edmond, Marcos Anderson, the Upshur Street crew, the Newton Street crew. Indeed, today, 5 members of the R Street crew were convicted of racketeering. These are essentially modern-day organized crime groups that are responsible for a substantial amount of violence in this city. I think we have made a very significant impact on the gangs operating in this city. We are continuing to focus on that because I believe they are responsible for a substantial amount of the violence, for destruction of many of the communities here in Washington. And I think we have seen some significant progress. Indeed, if you look at drug testing of defendants who are arrested, every adult is tested here in Washington. In 1988, 78% of the defendants arrested tested positive for drugs. Last month, that was down to 48%, a very significant reduction.
Well, the statistics may indicate.
So what they were doing, brethren, if you went for a drug test or whatever the reason, you went for a job or whatever you were doing, you were tested positive for drugs, they would arrest you because that's what it was. Arrest them, beat them, whatever say, dude, Go ahead.
A reduction, but I use the term seen. We have seen a reduction. From the point of view of the average driver or pedestrian, we still seem to see as many open-air drug markets, as many people standing on corners, and as many apparently addicted people on the street as we did before. The change certainly isn't visible to the average citizen.
I think there has been some change here in Washington. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done. As I said, this is a broad-based effort. I think law enforcement can carry that effort to a certain degree, but you need to bring in some education, some demand reduction, and perhaps some treatment. Although treatment, I think, needs to be focused in a very disciplined environment. In the area of violence, and violence, I think, is very much wrapped around the drug trafficking here in Washington. We have started to see a change there as well. Last year, there was about a 10% reduction in homicides. The last 6 weeks, there have been 34 homicides here in Washington. Last year, in that same period, there were 50, and in 1991, there were 57. That's almost a 40% reduction in homicides in the first 6 weeks over the last 2 years. So, yes, you see a lot of open-air markets, and I think the law enforcement community is focusing broad-based on gangs, on street organizations, as well as on retail sellers on the street corner. There's a lot that needs to be done, but I think we are making some progress.
Jay Stevens makes the point that we need a multifaceted approach, and we're hoping that what you'll see around this table this evening are those people representing aspects of the fight against drug abuse that a Clinton administration would want to all participate in the fight. We'll just see how this potential partnership can work. Let us now turn to the Drug Enforcement Administration and put the weight of the P Street bust on you, because as a professional skeptic, when I saw the arrests on television and when I saw the kind of media attention that it attracted, having been in this business for 19 years, I said, oh, there we go again. They're saying that they've made another big dent, and a few weeks down the road, we'll find that this thing fizzled. It certainly appears that it fizzled. Did it?
Well, I don't know.
Again, when it was us, prosecution, arrest, the gangs, they are doing this. That's dead thing. Put a few Negroes that look like us, put them in the CIA, DEA, put them there, tell hey, arrest them. That the guy say, I watching the news, I watch the faces, I see this thing, when it's going to end. And then put this nigga over there, let him explain, all right?
Much about the P Street investigation, didn't participate in it. But
the agency did, though.
Yes, to a degree, we did participate in it. As you indicated earlier, there were several agencies who participated in it. We didn't initiate the investigation, but came on as a part of it. It was an effort that involved several agencies who had different pieces of the investigation. And sometimes these investigations take that format. It may be investigated by several agencies, and as a consequence, we'll all get together for a prosecution. But there are a number of these type gangs operating all over the country.
But you have devoted most, I would suggest, of your professional life, over 20 years, to what has been known as the war on drugs. Does it disappoint you when you ride down the street in your car and you see more open-air drug markets than there were when you started out 20 years ago?
Yes, it does disappoint me.
Yeah, because those guys are the one who bring the drug. They are the one doing those things, the so-called DEA. There's a reason their name is Drug Enforcement Agency. They are not the drug eliminating engine. They enforce the drug. When you are a law enforcement officer, you enforce the law. When you are an enforcer of something, you enforce it. When you're a drug enforcement agency, you enforce the drug. You bring it here. You give it to the people. Well, under the guise of like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on. Make a huge profit, but they enforce the drug. They bring the drug in here. That's what those guys do.
I never expected years ago when I started in drug law enforcement to see drugs at the level that we see today. But one of the major differences I've seen is that there were treatment programs when I began this work. There don't seem to be those kinds of programs. We do need a broad-based effort here. It's not going to be done by enforcement alone or prosecution. We have had very successful prosecutions here in DC and all over the country. The jails are full of people who abuse drugs and sell drugs. But enforcement alone is not the answer.
Indeed, the emphasis over the past several years seems to have been on enforcement, and we just talked in Washington about the big picture involving the Peace Street crew. I want to bring Nelson Pemberton into this discussion to talk about a smaller part of the picture, because this past September, I was doing what I considered my civic duties, that is serving jury duty in the District of Columbia, and the case in which I was surprised to be accepted by both sides to participate on the jury in, given my profession, was a case involving the sale of crack cocaine by two individuals who were caught in an undercover operation in which the police officer said that he intended to buy 2 packages of crack cocaine worth $20 each from these two individuals. For some mysterious reason, they gave him 3 packets of crack cocaine, and only one of the packets really had crack cocaine in it. The other 2 had some kind of powder mix, and then the police, in the middle of my trial, before I got to participate in a decision, mysteriously dropped the case. Kind of thing that normally.
That's what those people do. Okay, the police will drop the drug on you, on the community, set the community up, and then come buy the drug undercover from you, and then arrest you for $20. For $20, our people will go to jail for 25 years or forever, for life. 10, 25 years for $20, and that those guys will doing. Right now, you don't hear the police do that anymore. You don't hear undercover cops go and then get fentanyl. You don't hear this stuff anymore because that's not the tactic anymore, okay?
It happens.
That's not the kind of thing that normal is, but it is certainly most disturbing when it does happen, when there are questions of police integrity in a drug case of that nature. Those persons who were on charge, the defendants who were on trial, were each facing 10 to 30 or 10 to 60 year sentences for the passage of that cocaine to the undercover officer. It's a most disturbing kind of thing to see in the DC courthouse.
What disturbed me most about this, and this is what I'm trying to find out to what extent this is normal, is the fact that you had 12 working people assembled on a jury. You had several officers of the court being paid by taxpayer dollars What we were talking about was a total of $40 of government money spent in this undercover operation, and there seemed to be the distinct possibility that that third bag had been planted when the officer found out that what he had in fact bought was really powder and that these people couldn't be arrested for that. And it seemed to be an enormous amount of money to be spending on the prosecution of what seemed to be two fairly small street dealers. And I don't know if taxpayer money that...
Because they were black. Because they were black, they tried to put them in jail for nothing. For nothing. What the police planted on them was actually real cocaine, but what they bought was just a kind of baby powder or whatever that powder was. So they were trying to, you know, put them in there and then make them pay or whatever, get them to jail.
Way it's effective in the war on drugs.
What was not unusual about that case is that there was an incredible amount of time and money and expertise.
I went for 5 days.
Yes, spent on the trial of the prosecution of a very small amount of street drugs, and that's what's common in the D.C. Superior Court. And that's the problem with our resources right now at this time, that we have these casualties of the drug war that are the addicts that are tying up the system, and instead of putting them into healthcare systems, into treatment where they're on their diversion type programs.
You're suggesting that your client in the case is presumably a small time dealer who was really an addict.
I'm not suggesting any such thing. My client's case was dismissed against him.
Yes, this is.
I'd like to make a comment here.
Yes,
Mike.
it's your turn.
Two things. One, I think you're distorting very significantly what is actually going on out there.
Okay.
If you look at what's happened in Washington in particular, if you look at major prosecutions, you've said something about P Street, which had nothing to do with Washington, D.C. and the drug war here and the prosecution and law enforcement agencies here in Washington.
Why not? It was occurring in Northwest Washington.
It did,
It's
but it
North capital
wasn't
P
handled
Street.
in the district. But you look at what's happened in the district, you had Rayful Avenue, you had Marcus Anderson, you had Upshur Street, you had Newton Street, you have R Street today. 5 people have been convicted of racketeering. 18 people have been convicted of racketeering in that case. You have Javier Card. We've indicted about 180 or 90 people who are alleged to be members of gangs. Virtually every one of those people who have gone to trial have been convicted. With regard to the smaller cases, there are a substantial number. Indeed, in Superior Court, there are probably 10,000 drug cases a year. Some of these are misdemeanors, but about half of them are felonies. At one level, Kojo, you complain that there are drug dealers on the street. And at another level, you complain that drug dealers on the street are being prosecuted. You want it both ways. I think you need a broad-based program to deal with the enforcement. And indeed, if you are the person who's in the house, you get darn tired of seeing the drug dealers do deals on your steps, and you wonder where the police are, and the police come and they take those folks off and they get prosecuted in court. And almost always in Superior Court, they get put back right on the street, right on the same street corner. And that's the problem.
Well, Kevin Zeese of the Drug Policy Foundation is calling on the Clinton administration to say, make health, not war.
Exactly. I think what we have in Washington, D.C. is an example. In fact, what Mr. Stevens says is correct. Washington, D.C. has been very successful in prosecuting people, incarcerating people. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world, except for South Africa. So we've seen a successful law enforcement program. What we haven't seen is a successful drug policy. I hope the drug war is over, because what we've had for the last 12 years has been an intense drug war, which has brought murder and mayhem to our streets. We've had thousands of young black men killed in Washington, D.C. streets. We had tens of thousands of young black men put in jail. We have AIDS spreading rampantly. We need to start focusing on the real issues that are depressing the society, which are really health-based issues. We've been trying to deal with a social and health-based problem with law enforcement. Law enforcement is not equipped to deal with a social and health-based policy. We need to bring into this health workers, social workers, to deal with the real underlying causes of addiction and the real problems related to addiction, as well as problems of disease.
Okay, so this dude is telling them, you guys are doing this to black people. He's the only guy that says black men. And he said, you guys are putting black people in jail at a record rate. We are the highest. The past South Africa or whatever, because you people are doing this. It's a health thing, but you guys know this, but you're arresting them for all this thing. We need to come to the roots of this thing so we can get this stuff going. He's telling them exactly what they are doing, and then he told them, if you guys don't, okay, all right, watch it.
Tuberculosis is spreading among drug users. AIDS is spreading tremendously, not only in Washington, D.C., but throughout the United States. And in addition, homicides and violence have public health solutions. We can see in Liverpool, we can see in Scotland, where they're trying new approaches, where they're providing maintenance programs to addicts.
That's right.
And crime rates are going down, as well as addiction, as well as dealing. But there are other solutions out there. We pursued the law enforcement strategy for many years, a dozen years under Republican administration with intense law enforcement, 70% of the budget going to law enforcement. And what have we gotten for it? Record homicides, record AIDS, record violence, and increased drug use. It's
How
not
do
working.
you make the relationship, Kevin, as you make the claim that as a result of the war on drugs, we see a lot more young black men killing each other on the street? How is that the responsibility or the fault of the war on drugs?
Because when you take a law enforcement approach to this, what you do is you increase the profit of the drug trade.
Yes.
The drug trade is driven by profit, like any business is.
And you're saying that the more intense the law enforcement effort,
the more the profit goes up and the more the drug dealing goes up. If we instead focused on the addicts and got them into treatment on demand type programs where they could go in on their own, or if we got them into health clinics where we provide them with maintenance drugs of a variety of choices that are out there, if we took those kinds of approaches, we would be taking away the market from the dealer rather than giving the dealer a bigger profit.
Jonathan Cohn is with the Partnership for a Drug-Free America, and those of you who are familiar with it have probably seen the egg frying when they say that is your brain on drugs. We have another one of their public service announcements here this evening. I'm trying to find out if we can run it right now so we can see the other kinds of things that Jonathan Cohn and the partnership are doing. And let's take a look at it, and then everybody can comment on whether they think this is one of the more effective ways of combating drug abuse.
Look at this. Marijuana can mess you up. Right. We've been getting high for what? 15 years? Nothing's ever happened. Did I get into other drugs and start mugging people? Nah. Didn't do anything. In fact, I'd say I'm exactly the same as when I smoked my first joint.
Eddie, did you even look for a job today?
No, Ma.
Marijuana can make nothing happen to you, too.
The reason why I raised that question is because when I saw the egg frying public service announcement, I didn't think it was very effective where I was concerned, because the public service announcement that I've seen warning people about cigarettes and about alcohol tend to give you the medical facts about what happens to you. This public service announcement simply said that if you use drugs, they'll fry your brain. And I think there are so many millions of casual drug users in America who will say that has not happened to them, and they function every day and they go to work.
Explain a little bit about
Please
this
do.
message. Get in here. The partnership has always had the mission of reducing trial and non-addicted use of illegal drugs. That is our sole function. We have focused on that because we believe that was where we could be the most effective. The frying egg commercial was one of what are now over 300 messages which have been created. We were able to rally the entire advertising, marketing, and media industries in this country behind the idea that we could unsell Americans and reduce the demand for illegal drugs if we spoke to each group concerned. That means speaking to young kids, teenagers, young adults, and the people who influence them, their parents, their employers, get everybody in society involved in the attitudinal change that needed to take place. Now, the fried egg obviously wasn't targeted to you, so I'm not surprised that you didn't find it effective. But certainly, we know that our children watch a lot of television, and I'm sure anyone here with children will recognize that they're influenced.
But to what extent have you been able to measure the overall effectiveness of your campaigns?
We do the largest attitudinal tracking study on drugs in the country. We began the month before the campaigns began, and we have continued that research every single year with approximately 7,000 people being interviewed. The research clearly shows that where the messages have run the heaviest in the cities and parts of the country where they get the most exposure, that attitudes have changed 2 to 5 times faster than in the balance of the U.S. And also the other 2 national studies being conducted on illegal drugs by the federal government confirm this same trend. It's very difficult to draw a causal relationship, and there are many factors going on in each of these markets, but we strongly believe that it's a contributing factor.
In the next segment, we'll meet what you do at the local level, but go ahead.
I've looked at that research, in fact, that the partnership does, and what it mainly is are mall intercepts. It's really the worst scientific style. You basically approach someone in a mall and ask them questions. It's not really the kind of thing you can rely on.
Actually,
the other
that's
thing
not
is
true.
the other thing is that they've tried to do the kind of commercials you talk about. Where you talk about the facts. In fact, they did one on marijuana where they showed us someone's brainwave, alleged brainwave, while using marijuana. They had to take it off the air because it was a lie. They had to take it off the air because what they actually did was show someone in a coma, not someone who used marijuana.
I think there is.
Unfortunately, these ads provide false information and scare tactics, which are counterproductive. We need to move away from scare tactics, move toward honest information.
Well, I think you can accomplish a lot by that education program, particularly if you focus.
You see how what this dude said? This dude said, "You people, what you people are doing is some kind of moral interception. It's a bunch of lies and stuff." Remember when you guys had that commercial? You were showing like somebody smoking marijuana in their brain. They have to take it off the air because it was a lie. They were using the brain of someone in coma, and then they'll try to push scare tactics and stuff like that. He told them this thing gonna backfire. That's not what that is. He said we need to come back to the real roots of the problem, and then the root of the problem is health. And you guys need to stop bringing the drugs in here, and then do this and do that. And he kept telling them, but hey, they don't want to listen.
Enforcement program. I have some immunize somebody against violence. When you watch what's going on in the streets with 9mm and knock 10,
both Jonathan
the
and Kevin
suggestion here was, well, health is a total solution. We give somebody a shot, we can deal with all the problems of health.
But what both Jonathan and Kevin will agree on is that spending 70% on law enforcement and only 30% on education and prevention and health
I think
is definitely a unbalanced proportion.
Not necessarily, but I think some substantial focus on demand reduction. It depends on what community you're focusing on. Demand reduction has been very successful in groups of people that are subjected to deterrence and to change of message. It is harder to reach certain inner city groups, I think, with a demand reduction message. Now, maybe their experience is otherwise.
That's not true. We've just finished the largest quantitative research study done with inner city youth in this country's history.
Inner cities.
We interviewed over 7,000 students in inner city communities throughout New York City.
Inner city.
And what we found was that 9 out of 10 of these students recognized the physical dangers of using drugs, and they recognized anti-drug messages as being a major source of that information. What we found, though, was that while these kids knew the risks of using drugs and the physical dangers, and they understood what would happen to you if you used drugs, they were still very scared, and they felt very alone because of the horrible environment in which they were growing up.
Let me get back to Nelson for a second here, because while, as you pointed out, charges against your client were dismissed, the fact of the matter is that the people whom Jonathan is trying to educate and the people whom Kevin is trying to get involved in rehab programs are still regarded as criminals by the system.
That's exactly
they can still
right.
be prosecuted.
And that is a major, major problem. And that's where we're wasting all of our resources, and it's not working. That's why we still have drug markets on the street today in D.C., because our resources that we have
Doesn't
are
this
being
present a
misused.
moral dilemma for people such as yourself? If on the one hand you want to advocate treatment, but you're really advocating treatment of people who you are paid to prosecute?
I don't see that as a problem at all. It's only you who have said there's a moral dilemma that it's not a crime. I think if you looked across this country, you'd find that the overwhelming number of folks in this country view it as criminal activity, that it should be treated as criminal activity. That does not mean, however, that in terms of the punishment or
it's viewed as a criminal activity and should be treated as a criminal. You people are doing drugs out there, you're a criminal, so we need to put you in jail, arrest them and kill them. That's what it is. This is a crime, all right?
Follows after you've determined accountability, that there shouldn't be some way of trying to bring at least a certain level of those folks out of that through education or through treatment. There is a group, however, that I think it is appropriate, as we've done through our gang initiative, to deal with these folks. And if they are going to continue to spread violence and poison on the streets of the city or across this country,
but you
then
don't
the place
make a
for them
distinction
is in
between
prison.
the user and the dealer.
Oh, you absolutely do.
Okay, we've got to take a short break right now, and Kevin and Pete and Jay are going to be staying with us. Then we'll be joined by some more people to continue this discussion. Stay with us.
Right. The DC Community Prevention Partnership is a nonprofit organization. It's funded by the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention under its Community Demonstration Partnership Demonstration Grant. The focus of those grants are to develop partnerships in various parts of the.
All right. Let me see. Give me a second here. Okay. Try to get.
In this segment, Anita Hawkins is with the DC Community Prevention Partnership as
Get service prevention. What
as a crime problem and as a health problem. The Hazelden Foundation seems to feel that it has had great success in treating this as a health problem.
That's correct. Treatment does work, and that is the message of hope. And we know that with appropriate treatment, as many as 2/3 to 3/4 of people can go on to lead productive lives. As I think most of us know, addiction is not an acute disease where a person gets treatment and goes out and lives happily ever after without ever having to give it another thought. Instead, we as a society need to be prepared to give support and help to people on a long-term basis.
Well, I'd like to hear how the law enforcement community responds to the fact that President Clinton has cut the drug czar's office staff by some 83%, according to the Drug Policy Foundation. I didn't make that calculation. He has cut it significantly on the one hand, while on the other hand saying that this National Office of Drug Policy will now be a cabinet-level position. How do you feel about the cut in staff?
I think it's really too soon to say what that means for drug policy under the new administration. It seemed to be part of an effort to, at least in reality or symbolically, to cut White House staff. Whether that will be replaced, whether the office will be refocused, remains to be seen. It also, of course, is a second issue, whether or not the Drug Policy Office plays a critical role in the law enforcement effort, in the treatment effort, in the prevention effort. Those are issues, I think, that are open. I know there's different views on that question. I think it will be part of this administration's, at least I trust will be part of this administration, to have a strong enforcement program as well as a treatment program as well as a prevention program. Prevention, keeping people out of the criminal justice system, is a very efficient and effective way to deal with this problem. Treatment can help, but despite, I think, the figures suggested here, treatment is a very difficult road once you are addicted. There's a real risk of sliding back into to that addiction, and the success rate is difficult to maintain. So the ultimate answer is demand reduction and keeping people away from the drugs, keeping drugs away from the people, so that we don't have such a heavy job to do, and so the treatment folks don't have so much work to do.
Well, Pete Davis, every way I look at it, it seems to me that the Clinton administration is making tentative steps in the direction of reducing the emphasis on law enforcement. The trial balloon was the 83% cut in the staff. They said that these people can't tell the DEA what to do, they can't tell HHS what to do, so they might as well go. Does it send the same signal to you that it looks like the role of your agency and others will be diminished?
Well, not really. If you recall, in 1973, when the Drug Enforcement Administration was formed, it was formed to coalesce the federal effort, to bring it under one house. Subsequent to that time, we got to the point where we have over 30 agencies now involved at the federal level in drug law enforcement, and which created the need to have a drug czar to coordinate this. So the fact that we see the reduction in numbers at the drug czar's office could signal more a turning back to what the original purpose of our agency was, to get those resources put back into the
so that your
agency form to do
wouldn't be primarily a law enforcement agency any longer? You're thinking
well,
that
not
your agency is
necessarily.
going to have a broader function?
We do have other functions other than law enforcement.
Not that the public knows about.
We're heavily involved in demand reduction and drug prevention, and we work closely with community organizations around the country to do that. We recognize the fact that this is not an enforcement problem alone.
One point that might be worth noting is that while the Drug Policy Office has an effect on federal policy, a lot of the activity, in fact, the vast majority of activity that relates to drug enforcement as well as drug demand reduction and treatment, is at the state and local level. There's a substantial responsibility there at local level in terms of treatment, in terms of prevention, in terms of developing community-based programs that really gets to the heart of what's going on in the drug battle.
Kevin Vees, you celebrated this 83% cut.
Yes, we in fact advocated for it happened. We're glad to see President Clinton moving in that direction. I think the Drug Czar's office was mainly a political propaganda organization. They didn't really do much substantive work. And in fact, even moving the Drug Czar to a cabinet position, while I was opposed to initially, it actually could be a benefit because I think there needs to be a great deal of restructuring in our drug control strategy. And we need to have someone with the power of the cabinet level position to do something like cut the DEA completely. I think the DEA's work is duplicated by the FBI, Customs, BNDD, FDA, DOD, Coast Guard. The DEA is really an unnecessary agency. I'd like to see it move away from that. We don't need an agency just focused on the drug war. Let's instead focus on the borders, focus on the prescription problems and those kinds of issues. The other thing, other good sign I'd like to point out is the moral dilemma you talked about, prosecution and treatment. Today, President Clinton appointed an attorney general from Dade County, Florida, Miss Reno. In Dade County, they had an interesting novel program where they would provide an alternative to prosecution to individuals involved in drug offenses, where they'd push them out of the criminal justice system and into a treatment approach. And so they've been trying that now for a couple of years. It's been actually pretty successful as far as the statistics go. So they may have found a way to get out of that moral dilemma. And hopefully, with that experience, the federal government begin to fund that kind of project at the local level.
I got to get to the telephone. Thank you for waiting, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I'm here to tell you tonight that don't be fooled by the smoke screen that's going on in West, East, and South D.C. and all the adjacent areas in Maryland and Virginia. The only thing that's happening is that you're arresting more and more black males. I don't care what you say, Jay Stevens, or however numbers you try to put out to impress people. It is not working. No matter how many up your street crews you get rid of, regardless, the quantity and the quality of crack cocaine is up. You may not tell them that for sure myself, because I've seen these things go on. And the main thing about it, the main problem about it, is white men like you, Jay Stevens, who are bringing these drugs in this country. And you need to shop in your own house.
Caller, please. Jay.
Then the Negro start to buck dancing right now. The Negro start dancing. Those are people, the viewer, that say, hey, I've seen what you people are doing. You're arresting black men. You're bringing the drug in. And then you're blaming us for the violence and all that. You are doing this. That was in the 1990s, 1994. They see us. That guy called, say, I don't care whatever number you're putting out there. You are doing this. And you are arresting black men. You're arresting our people. We see what you're doing. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. And then the Negro start like, caller. You know, he has to protect his master, you know. He has to protect his master. There you go. All right. He got to protect the master, man. You know, dude got to protect master right there, okay? All right. Let's play it a bit again.
Is that you're arresting more and more black males. I don't care what you say, Jay Stevens, or however numbers you try to put out to impress people. It is not working. No matter how many up your street crews you get rid of, regardless, the quantity and the quality of crack cocaine is up. You may not tell them that, but I know for sure myself, because I've seen these things go on. And the main thing about it, the main problem about it, is white men like you, Jay Stevens, who are bringing these drugs in this country.
Yes.
And you need to shop in your own house.
Caller. Please. Jay Stevens is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, and I will not allow you to accuse him of bringing drugs into the United States without any evidence about that. But you have made a point, and that is a lot of people say that the war on drugs really results in the arrest of large numbers of particularly African-American males, and it doesn't seem to be reducing the problem in any way, shape, or form.
In Washington, there are substantial numbers of arrests with regard to the drug war. I think one thing we haven't focused on, which the caller hasn't focused on really, is the violence that is wrapped in the drug trade. This city is very violent. People in this city have a fundamental right to be free from that violence, to be safe and secure in their homes. And the drug trafficking and the drug trade brings violence to their doorsteps. They're caught in crossfire as innocent citizens. Crossfire between drug dealers and law enforcement plays a critical role and must play a critical role in that. Keeping people out of the justice system, I think, is also a significant role. And I would trust that the caller is involved in trying to keep young people out of the criminal justice system by providing some guidance, some structure, some leadership, and some training and some moral support so that they don't get involved in the criminal justice
I have
system.
to get back to the telephone. You're on the air, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I'd like to piggyback slightly on our first caller and say that I resent Mr. Stevens' implication that inner city youth are only motivated by incarceration, because as I understand it, and I like Mr. Stevens and Mr. Davis confirming if it's true, that the profile of a drug user in America is a white male between the ages of 18 and 25.
Yep.
If that's the case, we should be up in Georgetown looking for cocaine instead of Southeast.
Yes.
And that caveat that Mr. Stevens is using is not quite true, because it is that youth by those middle-class whites that creates the drug atmosphere.
Yes.
And therefore, that generates the violence.
Thank you very much. It has been said that 70% of the people who use drugs in the United States live in the suburbs are white.
That guy tell you straight up, you say, listen, Stephen, you guys are talking about that drug stuff. It is you white men, white people in the suburbs, rich people that have the most demand. Ask any drug dealers in the street. White folks will pay, they pay more than drugs, and they have the more demand for drugs. The only people that are black that are buying drugs in that time was the junkies, was the basehead. Those are the addicts. But you white folks were overwhelming. And the guy said, we shouldn't be in DC right now where there's a bunch of black folks. We should be in Georgetown where the drugs, like all of you need this stuff. You guys are the one doing these things, okay?
Yep, the people who we see getting prosecuted, going to jail, if we are to judge by what we read and see on television and read in the newspapers, are predominantly black and live in the inner city. What's responsible for that apparent discrepancy?
Well, I don't know if it's a discrepancy, but inner cities have traditionally been targeted as the end distribution point for drugs. Historically, we can document that. And it's at this level where you find the volume of drugs on our streets and the attendant violence and other crimes associated with drug use.
That would lead some people to suggest that if people would merely stay indoors and not be violent on the street, then there would not likely be a great deal of arrest and prosecution for drugs in the United States. Is that a logical?
No, that wasn't, you didn't give me an opportunity to finish my point. You know, the point is that it ends up here in the inner city. That's why you have such a high rate of prosecution here. But we have not focused, we in the Drug Enforcement Administration, our efforts are focused at transshipment and cultivation points around the world. We have agents in 73 cities in 52 countries. And we try to position ourselves along the traditional routes that drugs are trafficked and grown.
The PBS special program Frontline aired a week ago and made the argument that the interdiction and other methods being used both by the DEA and the Coast Guard are grossly ineffective at preventing drugs from coming into this country.
Well,
the implication, of course, is therefore we should spend more money on law enforcement for interdiction. But people like the Hazelden Foundation will say it will never work.
I think we need more of an effort. We need to bring other people into the battle. We have many more miles of border to cover than probably any other country in the world. And we're under attack by those who traffic in this drug.
I would like to say that it's not an either or issue, that certainly it's not either interdiction or prevention or treatment. But the fact of the matter is that laws alone won't make a difference, that no matter how hard we try to stop the drugs from coming into the country, it will not succeed. And as long as we frame it as a war on drugs, I believe we will never succeed.
Why is that?
Well,
because
that's the thing.
It makes it sound as if the problem is out there somewhere. And the problem is not out there somewhere, it's us. We as a society have a problem with addiction. And how can we tackle that problem? It's through taking responsibility as communities, whether it's from the prevention end or the legal end or from the treatment end. It all has to come together.
I agree with that proposition. I think the caller suggested that it's somebody else's problem out there, that somebody else is bringing it here and is causing the violence. What was suggested here is that you have to look to yourself and take responsibility for your conduct. Drugs have led to devastation of values in the society. They've destroyed the family, they've destroyed communities, they've destroyed cohesion in communities. There is no support structure out there to give guidance and direction to people anymore. You have to start looking at that structure, whether it's from a community-based operation, from some treatment. Law enforcement does provide some discipline in an environment to deal with the traffickers and the people who are dumping the poison on the street. It is not the only answer.
Alcohol abuse in the United States is higher than the incidence of drug abuse. How can you say that it is drug abuse, illegal drug abuse, that has led to the deterioration in families and social life without talking about alcohol abuse? Does the legality of alcohol abuse mean somehow that it has the miracle capability of keeping families together, while the illegality of drug abuse causes families to fall apart? There are those who argue that the criminal penalties for drug use is what is indeed causing the social fabric of families to fall apart. How would you respond?
Well, I disagree completely with that premise. It seems to stand reality on its head. It is not to suggest that alcohol abuse is good. I mean, alcohol abuse has serious impacts on families too, but if you look close at hand, you will see that drug abuse has led to a loss of self-respect, a loss of respect for others, a loss of hope for the future. It has led to a tremendous rate of violence all around us. And you can say what you want about alcohol abuse. It has not led to gangland slaying, bullets, 15 bullets in the back of people's head, and that's what drugs have done in this city.
Your turn.
Well, I was thinking, first of all, alcohol, we have to keep talking about alcohol as a drug.
Absolutely.
It's not alcohol and drugs. Alcohol is the major drug in this country. One of the things that we look at in terms of prevention is looking at the first line of defense, which is alcohol. Alcohol has deteriorated our communities and has had the impact that drugs have had on the community, the other drugs have had on the communities. It has torn families apart. We look at the our social service system, our foster care system, our daycare system. A lot of those kids are become wards of the city because of alcohol problems and neglect. So, I don't want to separate the two. I mean, they're very, very much the same problem.
I got to take one more telephone call in this segment. You're on the air, caller. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Kojo.
Hi there.
I would like to say that to talk about drugs without the context of what is happening in our communities is to beg the question.
Okay.
Our communities are under siege. It's not just drugs that is important in our communities, to a tremendous degree. But guns, which we don't want to manufacture, come into our communities. Our communities are people in our communities are being killed off by AIDS, and now there's a new strain of TB. And we need to ask some questions. Why are our communities, why are Black communities all over this country under the kind of siege that they are? And if we don't look at this and answer the question honestly, I see your expression, Mr. Stevens, and you need to be honest and open about what you participate in.
Yes.
I really don't understand the last part of your remark, but I'll allow Jay Stevens to deal with that. We'll attempt to answer.
The Negro have to butt dancing, because back then in the 90s, all our people knew that what was going on to them, who's bringing the drug, who's implementing up the STDs. Just like right now, we got a overwhelming amount of disease about people eating fecal matter, and then those guys are the one perpetrating the behavior. Those are the one bringing the drug in our community. And the sister said, you got to be honest and tell the people that you guys are doing this, and tell them what you are involved in, because you guys are doing this to our people. We're not doing this to ourselves. Okay, it is just now too many cowards in the community don't want to call those people out. But back then, those people will call you out. And the Negro coming over there and say, hey, I don't know where you get this stuff. Don't be implicating my man, my master, and stuff like that. Hey, the Negro got a buck.
Part of your question, but we've got to try to do that when we come back.
All right, let me see.
Here in disagreement on, but we know that with you participating in this, by the time we're finished, we will arrive at some conclusion. U.S. Attorney Jay Stevens is still with us, as is Pete Davis of the DEA and Kevin Zeese of the Drug Policy Foundation. Pat Owen of the Hazelden Foundation is still with us, and we are joined now by Horus Msamaji, who is with Citizens for a Crime-Free DC. Horus is the Director of Human Resources, and he will explain to us about the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's program of Transcendental Meditation, Siddhi, being proposed to battle drug abuse in the District of Columbia.
Thank you very much for that introduction. And I think that before I actually say it, there should be a prep here made. And we seem to find ourselves in the same position as Einstein found himself in 1939, I think it was, with the knowledge of the atomic bomb. Even though it's a different situation, it's the same in terms of those who are not familiar with science might find what I say is fantastic. But because of its implications and ramifications for society, it's something that needs to be looked into seriously. So that brings us to one fundamental principle that underlies everything I have to say, and that is, at some level, we are all interconnected. Just like a plant or a tree, there are many branches, leaves, fruits, flowers, and everything, and they're all connected to the sap. If there's some way you can do something to the sap, it influences every aspect of the tree. Like that, the mind of every individual is connected to the unified field. This is what the unified field theorist of physics calls it. So we have the technology that's been proven over 30 years that allows an individual to come to that level of attention, bring their attention to that level. It enlivens that level, and as a consequence, everybody who is also attached to that field begins to be becomes wiser and happier. And the reason I say happier, because people are seeking drugs oftentimes because they're not happy.
But you are really talking about a spiritual phenomenon. And in this spiritual phenomenon, people usually associate adherence of spiritual phenomena with people who want to volunteer their efforts. You are calling for $6 million from the District of Columbia in order to finance your efforts to use Transcendental Meditation, Siddhi, in order to reduce the level of drug abuse in the District of Columbia. Why don't you simply volunteer to do it?
Well, there are many people who do volunteer, but like every profession, people have to buy food, they have to have some place to live, and they have bills. So the money is only for that purpose. And what would happen is for 2 years approximately, we would bring in experts to immediately create the influence of reducing violent crime and all other crime by, well, at least violent crime specifically, by 20% within 2 months. And over 5 years, totally eliminate crime because the technology is there. And so within that context, people do have to have a profession. And in that time, those 1,000 people could be trained in the local area to maintain this influence forever.
And they will in turn train young people in the District of Columbia to practice this along with the experts, and you feel that this collective meditation will have that effect. Kevin Zeese, the Drug Policy Foundation, is calling for another kind of drug expert to participate in the new Clinton administration's efforts against drug abuse, but you never actually defined what you meant by real drug experts. You say William Bennett was not a real drug expert. What do you define as a real expert?
Well, there are people who have actually had experience in various aspects of dealing with drug control. There are people who've worked in treatment fields, prevention fields, education fields, and enforcement fields. And unfortunately, we've had 2 drug czars so far who had none of those experiences. We had Secretary Bennett, who after serving as the drug czar went on to become the head of the Republican National Committee. Then we had Governor Martinez, who was basically someone who lost an election in Florida and as a result got the job of drug czar. So they have no real experience there. We're just calling people who have experience. I think that if you've been in the field, you've seen what happened. I think the comments that we've heard tonight from people in the field are more enlightened than those who've not been involved.
What would you say if I were to recommend Pat Owen to be the head of the Office of National Drug Control Policy?
Pat would be a vast improvement over anyone we've had before.
What would your law enforcement type say?
Well,
if somebody with no law enforcement experience.
So that guy tell him straight up, yo, you people, what you people are doing, you're putting a bunch of people as drug czar, and top comment that has no experience in drugs at all. They don't know anything about it. They never suffer from it. You're bringing a bunch of people with zero experience, and then you're making them battle something that they have no knowledge of, and then they are doing a terrible job, and then that's what in the Negro again, buck dancing right.
Great deal of experience in the of people who have suffered from drug abuse was put in charge of the entire program.
What I'm hearing, and I'm not comfortable with it, is that law enforcement is bad. Law enforcement is not bad. It is very necessary in trying to reduce drug abuse.
Yeah.
And to bring it under some kind of controls here.
So just
No,
Do you think law enforcement is
if I
bad?
could make a point here, and I would agree with you. I think where we're missing something, and perhaps all of us are, is that 50 to 75% of all people who end up incarcerated in federal and state prisons are there in part, at least, because of their drug abuse. And yet, 11% or fewer actually get any kind of treatment whatsoever. It's a wonderful opportunity to provide treatment.
absolutely. I think you have as it were, a captive audience, and that is a wonderful place to begin this program. You know, one of the problems with law enforcement is the high rate of recidivism, especially when it comes to drug-related crimes. One of the ways to deal with that would be while a population, it would be a benefit.
Me, whether or not there is likely to be greater recidivism as a result of people going to jail or as a result of people going into treatment.
There's been excellent studies on that because there are some very good treatment programs in prisons, and they follow people and look at two things. One is reincarceration and also arrest rates, and have found those have been drastically decreased by good treatment in prison compared with control groups.
I got to go back to the telephone. Thank you for waiting, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Alrighty. I would like to know what they are doing to try to stop drugs from coming into this country. Okay, if we could stop that, we should be able to stop the drug users because they won't be able to get in there. Take, for instance, just like that 18-wheeler that was coming all the way from Florida with $41 million worth of drugs. And the only
We're running out of time, but I do have your question. Kevin Zeese, let me put.
Remember what the sister said? They said, you guys bought an 18-wheeler of $41 million worth of drugs in our community. We see those things. And then they need go, oh, we run out of time. We run out of time. Hey, don't bring this issue. We know what's going on. The people see this. There's another one we will bring later. The guy said, yo, we see you guys coming in the hood in LA with your tractor trailer truck and dumping the drug and the guns there. And then now you're blaming us. That's what the sister say, well, you guys bought an $18 million, $41 million truck, loaded with drugs. You bought it. We see that. And the Negro, hey, man, hey, we run out of time.
Just like that 18-wheeler was coming all the way from Florida with $41 million worth of drugs. And the only
We're running out of time, but I do have your question. Kevin Zeese, let me put it to you. There are a lot of people who feel that the United States has the power to stop all drugs from coming into this country. If they could stop a grape from getting in from Chile, then they can stop all drugs. Is it possible?
I wish it were possible. It's not possible. We spend about $3 billion on trying to do that. The Department of Defense is the lead agency involved in that, and it has not been successful. In fact, cocaine prices have been dropping over the last decade. In fact, we can't even keep drugs out of prisons. A highly controlled environment where people are searched when they go in most cases, people are monitored closely, and drugs are in prisons. So if we can't keep them out of prisons, how do we expect to keep them out of the borders?
Well, we come back to the same thing. It doesn't matter who you put in the White House. It doesn't matter all these things as long as you're dealing with the same understanding of nature. The understanding of nature is off. And that's what we're trying to say here. The Transcendental Meditation and TM City program is based on, in modern terms, quantum physics. This is the most precise and well-documented science in existence at this point. The research on transcendental meditation in prisons, in drug rehabilitation, in economic development, all these areas indicate that the technology does what it says it will do. And so what has to happen is we have to look at that because the president or no one else can make good decisions in a crime-infested atmosphere.
I frankly was fascinated by these mysterious ads that kept cropping up in the paper by this thing called Citizens for a Crime-Free DC, and we felt that the public's curiosity was also aroused, so we wanted you to come here. Your turn, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. I guess this is to piggyback on your first three calls, but I think I would like to put it in a better way. Until America changes its attitude about inner city youth, especially black males, and start allowing it to be a part of America, then of course we will not eradicate that problem within the black community. The other thing is that when you look at the Berry situation, how that was treated versus the PG council member then it's enough to outrage the black community.
What situation you're talking about versus
The chairman who...
What situation versus that? I know that's what I
Versus
want
the
him
PG
to say.
council.
Okay,
the PG council
you're talking about
member
Marion
was
Barry.
distributing drugs.
Well,
versus,
allow me to let the individual who prosecuted that case respond.
I'll make a brief comment on that because I think it goes to the heart of what
he
a lot of us have been talking about tonight. And without making too much of those cases, if I remember correctly, in the PG County case, the individual who was charged admitted his responsibility, admitted his culpability, pled guilty, and was sentenced. In the Berry case, he refused to acknowledge his responsibility. He continued to blame everybody else in the world for what had happened to him. He denied his responsibility to the very end, and he was convicted and incarcerated. It goes back to what a lot of folks around this table are saying, and what even some of the callers have been saying. You have to look at taking responsibility for your conduct and providing the kind of guidance, education, treatment for young people so that they stay out of the criminal justice system. We can't just say it's the problem of the Colombians or the Chileans or the Bolivians or the Panamanians for dumping drugs in the United States. It is our problem for using them. And if you can't keep drugs out of prisons, it suggests there is an insatiable demand there that must be treated through education and treatment as well.
We're out of time, and Jay Stevens ended up sounding like Pat Owen right there for a minute. But we got to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Drug abuse in the United States and has added to your understanding of what we may need to do in order to solve that problem. We'd love to thank our panelists for joining us, and of course to you for participating in our discussion. That's all the time we have. Good night.
So, beloved, what do we learn here? What did we learn? Those people were the one bringing the drug and blaming our people. And anytime somebody want to make a logical point, what the Negro did, he bucked dancing and then he pushed that person away and he brought Jay Stevens. And the guy keep telling them, look, what you people are doing, we need to focus on the border. Okay, stop targeting black people because that's what you are doing. Everybody keep telling them the same thing. You guys are targeting us. You guys are targeting our people. You're putting too much of our men in jail. You are doing all those things to us. It's gonna come back and bite you. And the thing is, like, at the end of this stuff, he humiliated the dudes, the scientific guy they bought. He said, we have the technology, transdimensional meditation. And that guy, he was talking about the SM. And then he said, we need money to fund this thing. We need $6 million to fund it. And the Negro said, well, why do you need to $6 million to fund it? He said, well, just like everything, everybody that are doing things, they have bills to pay. They got to get food, groceries, pay their bills. They need funding. You guys are funding the law enforcement. You are funding everything. And then when we come over here and ask funding for something, you dismiss us. They are like, okay, you humiliated the guy. So, well, the reason why we brought you here because we were seeing all those things all over the newspaper. So that's why you're here and stuff. And he keep blacking that's what he was doing, keep blacking the truth. And when it keep bringing Jay Stevens in there, hey, law enforcement, arrest them. That's what he was doing. And the people, everybody that called, they said, we know what you guys are doing. You people are bringing the drugs in the community, have our people, and then blamed us. Now look at you. That was back then. Now look at you now. Now look at you. The drug community is done. The drug is done with your community. It's just destroy you people, man. You know, back then you used to put the drugs and our people will do it. You put them in jail, release them, put them in jail, release them. Now you people can't even put yours in jail. You don't have the opportunity to do this. They die. The moment they use this thing, because the fit and the trick is more potent. That thing backfired big time. Big time. And those people are dying. Yeah, all the people, all those scholars, they were awake. They told you that drugs thing, war you've been doing, it ain't gonna work. Now, beloved, they all want to do those things they were talking about years ago. 30 years ago, everybody want to do those things. Well, it's a health issue. We need to meditate. We need a transdimensional. We need the SM now. The SM has been proved to do this, do that. When years ago, the guy tell you we have the technology, we can do this. We can go ahead and move beyond any of those things. It's time for us to move. You people didn't want to because you are arresting our people. It was good. Now you got good old Dr. John Campbell, okay? John Campbell come up with a video a year ago. He told them like the SM work, we should use it because he can get rid of this thing and stuff with because those are natural stuff. And no, you people didn't want that. Arrest them. That's the situation that you're now. Now you can't get out. You are blocking the door, locking the door for our people. Excuse me. Not to get out. Now you can't get out. You can't get out. You people are locked in there. You can't get out. You'll never be able to be out. That's what the guy said. He asked the other dude, Kevin. They say, "Well, do you believe they have the opportunity to stop this drug?" I said, "You can't stop it. It's already too far gone. It's already too far gone." That's what it was when it comes to drugs. You people knew the solution. You knew what to do. You didn't do it. You act like if everything was just so hard to do, everything, but when you were the one doing this. And then now look at you. That's common. Beloved brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles, like we didn't have time to do a little maxim and reflection today. That's all good. Today is Saturday. And we have this. The name of the show, it's not much of a show. Let me see. We have more. We can take some of them tomorrow. Okay. Which one? Let me see. Let me share this. Let me share this. I believe. Oh boy. Wow. Okay. All right. The name of the show, it was in it's called Evening Exchange, War on Drugs, and it was published the first time in 1993, which is February 11th, 1993. That's like 30 or 31 years ago. So well, it's copyrighted, Howard University. If they sent me a copyrighted thing, I'm gonna have to remove it. The people that are watching it now, you are the only person that can watch it. The others, you won't be able to watch it. If you're watching the news, if you're watching the prayer, you know you won't find it. Okay, those people, I don't know where they at right now. I don't know where they at. If this dude is still alive. Oh, he died in 2020. Okay, Kevin died in 2020. Okay, Kevin ZC died in 2020. Okay, the dude that was telling them the truth, he died in 2020. Okay, I was trying to make a video for that and then bring it to the backup channel that we did here, but I had the opportunity to do it like this, so I just did it. But Kevin died. Let me see. Okay, Kevin died. All right, this is the dude with the glasses that was telling them. Kevin Bruce is an American lawyer, U.S. Senate candidate, and political activist. He worked to end the war on drugs and mass incarceration and was instrumental in organizing the 2001 Occupy camp in Washington, D.C., and occupying the Venezuelan embassy in Colombia. This co-foundation or whatever, this died of a heart attack on September 6, 2020. Okay? So he was the guy who was telling the people the truth. He said, you guys are targeting black folks thing, and then he's gonna come back and kill us. He's gonna come back and then destroy our people. And then he told them so. And then he died in 2020 of a heart attack. Okay, could be Jabba Jah, could be whatever. But that guy, he warned them. He warned them that, hey, this thing, you're going to kill people, man. Okay, let me see if Jay Stephens, if he's still there. Okay, Jay Stephens, U.S. Attorney. Yeah. I don't see. Yeah, that's him. There. That's him right there. That's a good old Jay right there. Is he still alive? Let me see here. It's that. Let me see. J.B. Stephens, Director, Atlantic Legal Foundation. Jay Stephens is executive committee of the Atlantic Legal Foundation, has served on board since 2011. He's currently in counsel in Kirkland. He's still alive. He's still alive, I believe. He doesn't have that much information about him. I think okay, J.B. Stephens is an American attorney who served as President George W. Bush. He's still there. Okay, he's 77. He's still here. Okay, Jay is still here. The guy that was saying, arrest. And then I'm glad he's here to watch this. I'm glad he's here to watch the demise of his people. He's still here. Okay, September 20, 2002, he resigned, become senior vice. He's still here. And then he saw all those things. He saw the damage that he was doing. I'm glad that he was there. I'm glad that he still can see. He's now probably is watching this. He saw what he was saying 30-something years ago. He saw the karma. All right. Let's check another one. Maurice Davis, the head of the CIA or whatever. Okay, I think this dude, did he die? Nope, that's not the guy. So it seems I can't find. Okay, there's C-SPAN right there. No, not him. There's so many Maurice Davis. Well, somebody died, obituaries. Okay, this dude was living in Plantation, Florida, very close to me. He died in 2021. So those are the DEA fellow, okay? Maurice Henry Davis, age 82, of Tamarack, Florida, passed away on Saturday, October 23, 2021. Maurice was born December 27th, 1938. So it's one of the Negroes that they put out there, and those are the Negroes they put out there and saying like, oh, we need money for the drugs agencies to stuff. He died. Okay, he died good old age. He died at 83. Those guys, they live very long. They've done a lot. They live very long. Okay, but I'm glad he was alive. Okay, so he still he live long enough to see all those things, then he died. Okay, those are your typical gatekeepers. All right, he was living very close to me. All right, plantation. I make a lot of video about the Tamarack and plantation, which is very close to me. All right, I didn't even know the dude was in my vicinity. All right, so those are the dudes. All right, he's no more. Let's see who's not here anymore. Okay, those are the pretty much the people that they had. Let me see if this brother was here. Okay. I don't need to sign in with you, Google. I can still find. Okay, well, I can't seem to find him. I believe that's him and someone. I believe that's him. Okay, well, I can't find him. I can't find him. Okay, there are quite a few. There are quite a few of them, a few videos that I watched and studied a few years back, and they are still there. I will bring it to the people to see how back then those people used to do their stuff, and then now, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, that was Lever Barton? Okay, all right. Okay, well, that's not him. I can't find this guy. Yeah, those Tamarack is commercial and 441. Once you pass the Publix, once you are in Publix and 441, that's you're in Tamarack. The dude was in this vicinity, and I walk in Tamarack all the time. I've been in Tamarack all the time. I've done business there. You would never know. Okay, so yes. So yeah, so those guys they live very long. They live a very quiet life. Tamarack is very quiet, very beautiful. Like Margate, they live very long, and it's time for them to pay the piper. But I'm very glad those guys were still alive, so they saw the damage that they did to the people they were trying to protect. Okay. So we good, beloved. Everybody good. Everybody understand what we are just bought. Everybody understand what we just bought? Today is day 4. Keep the fast holy, keep it going, and then we should be good. All right. There are plenty more, brethren. There's so much more stuff out there that I wanted to share with the nation. It's just the time do not permit. Tomorrow, what we're gonna do tomorrow is Sunday. After the prayer, we're pretty much gonna do the same thing. We're going to take another segment, and then we're going to go all the way with it, just like we do. Okay. And again, beloved, if for you that are going to watch on replay, do it now, because you may not be able to see those things, because if YouTube sent a copyright thing onto us, we're gonna have to remove it. Okay, so sometimes they'll black it. So it is good to catch this live, because if you don't, we're gonna have to remove it. Okay, beloved, I will leave you in peace. Okay, I will leave you with love. All right, we're gonna do the every day we do a little bit of something different. Okay, shalom.